had a experience on the ship where I was working out. See, on the ship, my job was a AB, able-bodied seaman. It's called an AB. It's basically a sailor. And what you do is you go on, you have these watches, they call them watches, where you have to look out for other ships. So usually a ship, while it's traveling on the ocean, has at least 3 people on watch to watch out for other ships, or maybe derelicts or things in the ocean you don't want to crash into. So you have an officer. It's usually one of the mates. So you have a first mate, second mate, third mate, and then the captain, typically, on merchant ships. So this was an oceanographic ship, so we had those people. I was with the second mate at that time. And we have these different watches. They're usually 4 hours on at a time. So you have 4 hours on, 4 hours off, 4 hours on, 8 hours off, 4 hours on, do, day after day, day after day. I didn't know it at the time, but that was basically a Chan session. Only it's a standing Chan. You didn't sit in lotus. I didn't know anything about Chan. I didn't know anything about that. But I started working on a meditation topic spontaneously. I was wondering, who am I? Where did I come from? How did I get here? How do we end up in this universe as humans? That kind of thing. And there was nothing to do on watch. You're not allowed to read. You're not allowed to listen to the radio. You're not allowed to watch TV. You can't do anything. You have to just stand there and watch the ocean. So that's like meditation. Only we didn't get to sit. I mean, we didn't know how to sit anyway. We're just sailors. But we'd stand. And we'd stand either out on the bridge, wing of the bridge, or out on the very bow of the ship. And so day after day, week after week, month after month, we do 4 hours on, 4 hours off, 8 hours on, day after day. And they shift around the clock. So this particular watch I was on was the 12 to 4, I believe. Or either that or it was the 8 to 12. I can't remember. I think it was 8 to 12, actually. Anyway, around 10 or 11, I keep thinking, where did I come from? How did I get here? Keep working on that. And pretty soon my mind started going like, you know how when you fill the water in the sink, when you pull the plug and the water goes, well, that's what my mind was doing. It felt like that. It's going around in a circle with the same question. Then it became, and then it just stopped. My mind just stopped. I don't know how to describe it properly, but it's like no thought, just stopped. But still, the ocean was there, the ship was there, the sky, the stars were up, it was at night. Everything was there, but no thought, just pure consciousness to see the universe as it really is. No thought in between. And it only went like less than a second, just really fast. It was just like no thought, and then thought came back right away. But that was enough. It was like somebody lifted a huge weight off like all our lives we have this huge weight we're carrying. It's like somebody just lifted it right off. And I felt so free. It was so joyful. It was incredibly joyful to have that burden of thought take away for even one split second. And later on, I learned that that's the first stage is like that. I didn't achieve the first stage of arhatship, but I have the sense of it. That's like that. They say it's the joy of leaving filth. What is the joy of leaving filth? It's the joy of leaving thought. It's the joy of thought stopping. All thought, good and bad, ugly, beautiful, all thought, stop. And you're able to purely see things as they truly are in your intrinsic nature. And we all have this deep wisdom that's already there. It just needs to be released. And I said, I wanted to go grab the officer, the mate, the second mate. I wanted to shake him. Look at the stars. But I realized I better not do that. But my whole body was tingling all over. And I went to bed that night after watch. And I felt light and easy. What do you call it? Zitzai? When you're light and easy? Almost floating. I felt so happy. Even though my thought was back, I still felt very light. And so I went to sleep that night. And then when I went to sleep, I found that I was still not, part of my brain went to sleep that's tired, but another part stayed open. It's like stayed conscious. And it's like you can control your body and even your mind, your physical mind, this part. You can rest the parts that need it and use the parts that don't need rest. So I was able to leave my body. And I never had that experience before, but I was able to leave my body. And but it felt very natural. And I went through the whole ship. You can go through walls. It doesn't matter. You can go anywhere you want. And Shifu used to tell us, you can go anywhere in the space of a thought. And that's basically what was going on. I could go to any part of the ship. I can go to the engine room, go on the bridge, go into the mess, the dining room. They call it a mess hall. I can go to the kitchen. I can go anywhere. So I went around, saw all these people talking and moving and doing their thing. We had about, I guess we had around 60 people aboard. So then I come back to your body. and I was having these kind of experiences. But they slowly closed up over a period of about 3 days, 3 or 4 days.
For 3 days, this kind of...
Yeah, this kind of light, easy state. But my mind was still thinking. My false thinking was still there. It didn't stop. It wasn't true samadhi. True samadhi, you can stop your mind and just be in pure samadhi. It's like Shifu could do that and not have any thought for like as long as you want. But I couldn't do that. And but I didn't know what this was. I didn't know who to talk to about it. I couldn't talk to the captain. What am I going to do? Tell them my state? They wouldn't. They'd laugh at me. So, and who am I going to talk to? A priest? They won't know. So I didn't know. I felt very panicky. And then I could feel my mind going back to its old way again. And I felt very depressed because I'm losing that wonderful light and easy feeling. And I was I've never been depressed in my life. I'm not the kind of person that gets depressed. But that time I could barely stand up. And then we went into Palma de Mallorca, which is a Spanish port. They're islands off of Spain. A very big tourist area. But it's a very old place. And the Spanish people, the Spaniards, they love to sell leather goods. Leather coats, leather pants, leather, belts, everything leather. And when we went ashore there to take a day off, basically took a day off, I smell all this leather, and it's really terrible because I realized that's the skin of living beings. They're basically wearing the skin of sentient beings. And I didn't ever experience that before. I said, oh, this is just like why don't we just wear human skin? This is the difference. And then it felt, oh, this is terrible. So I walked around a little bit, and then I saw this very, very old church, Christian church. It must have been over 1,000 years old. They're a very old place, Europe. So I went there, and went into the church, and it's just beautiful, because all the people in there were old people. They were reciting. Basically, they were reciting they were doing Hail Mary, it's called, the Hail Mary prayer. It's a prayer. But it's similar to reciting Guanyin. And they have done that their whole lives. And you can see they're cultivators. These people were cultivators. They were cultivating a pure Dharma. In their sense, it's as if we were reciting Guanyin. And they had stilled the whole Jingje, the whole feeling of the place was beautifully quiet. You can feel it, sense it. Shifu used to like to go into churches. He says they have that kind of purity. And not this, similar to a Buddha hall, and where everybody practices the Dharma of recitation. In their case, it's a prayer. Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. They say over and over again. Because I used to be a Catholic. I know these prayers. So I sat in the back and just felt, it's like an island, safety. It's like a safety island in a sea of leather. So I said, I really need to find what this state is. How come I had this state? I knew I couldn't talk to a psychologist. They wouldn't help me. And I couldn't talk to, I didn't know who to talk to. I couldn't talk to a priest. They don't have this kind of state. I know. I grew up in, I went to St. Augustine's Monastery in school. I know these kind of people. They're not like that. They don't have that kind of samadhi. I said, I want to talk to somebody. I need to find a teacher. I didn't know at the time I needed to find a teacher, but I need to find somebody to help me. Then I found a book in the library of our ship, had a little library on it, and I found a yoga book. And in the back it was a description of what enlightenment is by an old Swami from the 1920s. You can tell he had some way. He had something special. He had Shintong. He spoke of enlightenment, and it felt so real the way he described it. They had translated what he said. He said basically, enlightenment is our true natures, and everybody has it, and it's like a beautiful river, pure, clean river. And there are many streams that go to that river, so people find different ways to get to that river. There's no best way, no worst way. But he says, once you get to the river, if you're not pure, when you step into the river, you yourself will step out. You cannot take it. It's too beautiful. Nobody throws you out of this beautiful, beautiful river except you. And that's what happened to me. I realized, that's why I can't have that state, because I'm not pure. You have to have a grounding in the precepts. That's what the precepts are all about. You have to prepare you for this beautiful, clear stream to set into, the stream of enlightenment. You can't step into it. Nobody's going to throw you out of it. You yourself will. You say, I can't take it. It's too pure for me. And I realized this person really, I want to talk to a person like that. But I know he'd already passed away, so it couldn't be him. So I had to find somebody, a guru or a teacher. So when we got back to the U.S., after 6 months, I still have different kinds of states during all this time. But we finally got back. And when we came in, I started looking around. I started reading. At that time, this is 1969. So very popular back then were the hippies. This is the time where people were exploring Eastern religion. So they really liked the Maharishi Mahesh Yoga. And then there was the Hare Krishnas, and there was a bunch of other people. There was a Tibetan Lama, all these people, very popular. And the Beatles, the rock and roll Beatles, they had gone over to India, and they've had this experience, la la la. So everybody's and so I said, well, maybe I'll find somebody there. So I went over to the Maharishi place, and they had these little places all over the U.S. for meditation, like for meditation. They call it transcendental meditation. And they said, all you have to do is sit for 20 minutes a day and you'll become enlightened. So, really good. So I went in there, and there was a young girl about my age, and she said, all you got to do is recite this mantra. And she gave me a mantra to recite, some crazy sound. She probably just made it up, I don't know. So, and then you try to sit, you can sit in the half lotus or just cross-legged. And if you can sit in the full lotus, that's okay. That would be good too. And that's all you have to do. And I said, this doesn't sound, this is kind of cheap. I don't think this is, I need to find a teacher. So it took me a long time to eventually find a real teacher. And by then it was over a year, I think. Well, not quite a year. We came back in 69. Yeah, that's when we came back. So I had met Shifu December, late 69, but I finally got around to being able to meet the master. And then I realized I could just sense that this person, he has the way. I just knew. So that was my experience. Other people have different kind of experience, but that was my...
教禅有初禅，有二禅，有三禅，有四禅。这个初禅的境界， 先呢得到一种清安的境界，这种清安呢就觉得身上啊很舒服的，很自在的，很呢受用的。这种舒服自在，这叫法喜，得到一种法喜。你法喜充满，得到法喜充满的境界，甚至于你不吃也不饿，不睡也不困，甚至于你不穿衣服也不冷了，这就是修行开始的一种感觉，很轻啊，坐着觉得像没有自己，走路也好像没有自己似的，不知自己在什么地方。那么在这清安的境界开始以后啊，就会入一点初禅的定。初禅定一入的时候，自己呀空了，所以呀觉得这脉搏也停了。
这打坐觉得非常自在，自在自在真自在哦，难以言形容，说不出来那么自在了啊！你要得到这种自在呀，你把什么都忘了，你这个美国人现在都吃药，你没得到真正的这个禅定的那个胃禅呢，我不要说那个傻一界叫胃禅呢，那个胃禅呢，那种的滋味啊，比任何的情形都快乐啊，比你男女结婚也快乐，比你这个吃任何的麻醉品呢，什么药也快乐，那种的境界简直这是说不出。所以说自在自在真自在，难以言形容，说不出来的啊！所以说入人饮水冷暖自知，就好像喝茶似的，这个茶是凉的你自己也知道，这个茶是热的你自己也知道，一定这个境界一定要过来人才明白。怎么叫过来人呢？从这个路上走过来的啊，你一说他知道你这是到一个什么阶段上了，到一个什么程度上了啊。那么修禅只要你有一点诚心，谁都可以得到的。那么那种的快乐法呀没有可以能和他比的。所以这叫离生喜乐地，离开烦恼啊，将要离开烦恼得到的快乐了，这是这个定的一种。